94, take 3.
Listen, Humus. The reason the stars in your sky change is they don't. They do. No, they don't. Your entire planet jumps through space.
Those engines?
Those engines. Huge enough to dematerialize an entire hollow planet, flip it halfway across the galaxy, and rematerialize it round to prey. Oh, fuck it!
Hello and welcome. Yes, we have gathered here once again, this time to talk about the second story of the Key to Time season, which is the Pirate Planet. Yes, so let's start off this cast with our very own Jimmy. Go ahead, Jimmy.
The Pirate Planet was the 16th season of Doctor Who. Graham Williams was the producer. I think it was his second year as producer. And he was told by the powers that be to tone down the violence that his predecessor, Philip Hinchcliffe, had. So he decided to lighten things up. It was his idea to have the Key of Time be a story arc and emphasize the humor. For this episode, he hired to write it Douglas Adams, who, while he was writing this episode, Douglas Adams was writing the radio scripts for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And you can see the similarities between Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and this episode of Doctor Who, especially with the captain, especially with how the things the captain is constantly exclaiming. It has a nice little trick at the end regarding the captain as well. The episode itself, at times it tended to drag, but overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Tom Baker's performance as the Doctor. Because humor is emphasized, Tom Baker really excels. I enjoyed his second in command. Their relationship was kind of like Captain Hook and Shmi. So overall, I enjoyed the episode. It's part of the Key of Time arc, although it seemed that the Key of Time element was kind of like thrown in. You don't really need it to enjoy the episode. And if you don't know anything, if you don't watch the rest of the Key of Time, you'd still enjoy this episode. So overall, out of 1 to 10, I would give it an 8.
An 8. There you have it. Our very first score of the night, an 8. So now let's move over to Beef Dad. Go ahead, Beef Dad. What did you make of this story?
I really enjoyed it. I'd forgotten about the Mentiads, to be perfectly honest, but there again, it's a very long time ago since I last watched it. Loved the Mentiads, a gestalt that can actually just mentally manipulate things. Excellent. Excellent concept. Loved the twist with the nurse turning out to be Queen Sansia, but I felt so sorry for the poor old dear playing Queen Sansia downstairs. I thought to myself, oh dear, she does not look a happy bunny. Somebody bring her a cup of tea. K9 in it. Yeah, K9 was quite good, actually. I quite enjoyed K9 in this. Romana was super. Absolutely super in this. The captain, Bruce Purchase, and Mr. Fibuli, and played by Andrew Robertson. Jimmy's already said they worked well together. In fact, they were an absolutely superb double act. One little tiny bloke and one enormous great guy. And he actually is big. And Fibuli was actually that short. In fact, he was a bit shorter. He was wearing built-up shoes to play Fibuli. I found the shouty captain a bit tiresome at times, but then I suppose he had to be shouty to fit in with everything. I felt really sorry for him when Nursey, or the Queen, blew him up at the end of it, because I thought to myself, well, that's not exactly employee thing, is it? You know, you shouldn't treat your employees like that. You don't blow them up. That's not considered good form. But yeah, the sets were good. The effects were good. I know when it was written by Douglas Adams and they saw the amount of special effects that it was going to be, that were going to be called for, they were absolutely horrified. But so they sort of cut back on the pricing on the special effects, which is why they're not possibly not of the best, but they got everything in. Yeah, great fun. Loved it. Yeah, for me, it gets an 8 out of 10 as well.
Another 8 out of 10. Well, there you have it. And it depends who your employer is, whether you blow up your employees, I would like to add, you know. Now, let's move on over to Jason. Take it away, Jason.
Well, Pirate Planet starts out with some interesting view of the buildings. Like, you got this little bit more effect of like these clay-looking type of buildings right there, showing the whole scene of where it's all going to start at. And then you got the whole building on top where you got in the mountains from where the captain's all at, since it was like the late 70s. But definitely a great story for the Key and Time series. You got the mean, greedy, evil captain and the scientist. You also got these townspeople, also these people with psychic powers. Well, more like a psychic mind link or something, where they got like a force field and stuff like that. Like in case when they shoot things at them, and they like protect themselves, something like that. Also, notice when when something happened to the TARDIS, the Doctor will end up hitting his lip right on the TARDIS console, and which I think Beef Dad's son mentioned about that last week, about where it's going to lead to on this story, where it was first filmed, about when the Doctor's lip got bitten by his dog. Aside from that, Ramona tries to read the book of the TARDIS and then ends up the TARDIS seceded from landing, because when the Doctor tried doing it, it wouldn't end up landing, because it was trying to figure out, okay, what the heck. When they end up landing to the planet, they noticed there was something really odd with the people, because I guess to the point that they didn't have a free will, they didn't have a free thinking, and also later on, they found out the whole mountain in the building turns out to be some kind of ship, I think. Also, it sucks up other planets and stuff like that. I guess, like, probably got that way. I don't know. Oh, maybe the planets were shrinking into, like, these objects and stuff like that. That showed end up later. There's also the scene where you also got this robot pirate board, I think a pilot chasing after a K9 because it was trying to attack the Doctor and the guy on the scene, but the K9 ended up defeating the robot itself. But I love the twist on the last part with the whole Queen situation as a nurse, and also the fact that knowing the captain couldn't really function himself later, but tried to stop her when she stopped him in the end. The series itself was definitely pretty interesting, and I was definitely surprised when I ended up watching it, because last time I seen it was back from like maybe 2011 or 2010, so it's been that long. I give it a 9 to 10, just another great story of Key of Time season, and also brings a kind of a certain meaning due to the fact that with people with now have a free will, because in a way it kind of brings a certain kind of meaning to our society, to other countries, what goes on to other countries, but I'm not going to go into full detail on that. But anyways, I love the story. I love how it all happened, and definitely another great story of the Key of Time of Tom Baker.
Thank you, Jason. Now, let's move on over to Craig.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I like the whole Key to Time series. I like the fact they had the pirate captain, a reconstructed cyborg element. I like K9 in this episode as well. Just his funny one-liners and stuff. Even Tom Baker, like, I think it's just the writing. I really like Douglas Adams' style. So when like Tom Baker just walks in and says, "This is exciting," and everyone turns around and they're like, "What?" That's kind of cool. I love the twist with the nurse. The whole Key to Time thing makes me think of this thing that I watched as a kid called Through the Dragon's Eye, where they had to find these glowing yellow pieces scattered through time. I'm sure they got that from watching this episode, but it was a BBC thing, so they probably nicked the idea. But I also like the landscape shots of the countryside scenes. There was some good stuff there on the location stuff. And internally, I think the pirates' control room. I loved the different coloured tubings that they had. I think even now it still looks really good, and I bet back then it looked proper good. So all in all, I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10.
An 8, there you have it. And now it's a very sad day, really, because the library has no books. But the librarian is still here, and we still love him. Take it away, Harry.
Thank you, Alan. I did say this is probably one of the better stories of the Key to Time series. I mean, Doug Adams, fresh off the work on the Hitchhiker's Guide, and he'd also done some work again previously. He'd helped out with the reworking of when two stories had fell apart at the end of last season. You had to throw together the 6-part story, The Invasion of Time. Basically, Doug was no slouch to working under pressure. And he pulled together a pretty good story with this aspect of the Key to Time, the pirate planet just transmet, jump, and swallowing up other planets. I actually enjoyed the scene where K9 is battling the robot parrot. And then K9 comes out with the parrot, per se, in his mouth, as it were, proving a dog is still much better than a parrot. The idea of the whole planet of Caliprax being the second part of the Key to Time, rather intriguing unto itself. As far as a rating, I'd give it an 8. As far as the book, there is no book, at least not as yet. But when there does come to be a book, I will gladly be picking it up, reading it, and adding it to my collection.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you. And now we move over to Lee. What do you have to say about this?
It's not often I can remember where I was when I sat down and watched an episode of Doctor Who. You know, there's that many episodes gone in the history of the programme, but this one I do remember sitting down on a Saturday night watching this back in 1978 when I was a young whippersnapper of 8-year-old, and I've got fond memories of this story. It's one of the favourites of the Key to Time season. Tom Baker, as everybody knows, well, he's nearly everybody's Doctor, but he just shines in this, and his Douglas Adams writing and Tom's humour and wit just, goes all the way through these episodes. It also gives a chance for Mary Tams Romana to shine as well, showing you how intellectual she is when she's talking all this techno-babble to the pirate captain and Mr. Fibuli. For me, Mary Tams Romana came in her element in this story. Not the first one, but this story. She was wonderful in this. Bruce Purchase as the captain. As Beef Dad said, he was a tall guy. I met him once a couple of years before he passed away. He's no longer with us, but he was a very tall guy. And as people would say, a gentle giant, because he was just a nice guy. But his characterization of the captain, over the top villainy, and then you felt sorry for him at the end. Mr. Fibuli had gone. You felt sorry for him. It's not often you can feel that for a villain. And so that, for me, was good acting, good writing. Everything else, K9 with the parrots and nice little battle there. For me, yeah, it's one of the gems of this Key to Time season. So for me, I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to get a 9.
A 9. Thank you, Lee. And now we go over to Lady Neo. What do you have to say about this, Neo?
It's been a while since I've seen it. I still love the comedy. I love the know-it-allness of Romana and the banter between Romana and the Fourth Doctor. I do love the pirate guy. He's cool with his little second-in-command and the evil, messed-up woman that's helping him out. The psychic people, I'm going to call them that. I don't remember how to say their name. They were pretty cool in how they were seeking out those that were just like them, making them join their collective. I took that from Star Trek. Sorry about that. But overall, it was good. It had your comedy, it had your seriousness in a sense. It had everything it needed to be a good episode. Even if you didn't have that little heated time thingy in there. Heck, I would have watched it over and over again. So overall, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
A 9.5 from Neo. Well, what do I think? Well, this is one of those stories that I still remember. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I even remember it. I remember the first time I watched it years and years ago when I was a kid. It has stuck in my mind. I can remember this vividly, sitting in my old house, you know, sitting in the lounge watching this. I just enjoy this. I really do. I like the chemistry between the captain and Mr. Fibley. Yes. And the captain reminds me a bit of Brian Blessed. The voice, the booming. He's always shouting. He's always shouting. And I like that. It's a funny story. I just like it. The story, you know, the plot is, I like the plot. Yeah, it's good. I like the story as a whole. Like I say, I think if I have to give it a rating, which I do, I'd give it a 9. Why not? I'll give it a 9. I really like it. And I'm going to open the floor to whoever wants to speak.
Well, I noticed that the Doctor refers to the TARDIS as TARDIS, but Romana was calling it a capsule. And I thought that was good for continuity. TARDIS was created by the Doctor's granddaughter. The Gallifreyans did not refer to them as TARDISes. A TARDIS was an acronym invented by Susan. So the only one who should refer to it as TARDIS is the Doctor. So I like that. And I agree with Lee that Mary Tam shines in this episode. This should have been her introductory episode, not the previous one where she didn't come off looking that good.
One of the things that amuses me is, I presume you all remember the engine room where they had all those wonderful explosions and they blew up all the machinery. That was actually filmed at a nuclear facility, and they had to go in the day before and convince the people there that nothing was going to happen. So they rigged up a small explosion and decided that the next day it was going to be a bit bigger because they wouldn't be able to do anything about it then. But yeah, that was fun. The parrot was a little disappointing for me because I would have hoped it would look a bit more like a parrot than it actually did. But the idea of a captain with a parrot on his shoulder, and instead of a hook, he's got that metal arm. Yeah, real Peter Pan style fact, but great fun. Mary Tam, as you say, she wasn't really given much of a chance. At least this time she was dressed for the part, not in a nightie with feathers in a snowbound planet. That was the one thing the other thing that really caught my imagination was that the entire ship was the planet and it was hollow and it would swallow the other planets. It would materialize around a planet that was just smaller. And of course, the next target was Terra in the system of Sol, which we all know is the planet Earth. So the Doctor saves the Earth again. But yeah, great stuff. He had a wonderful imagination and a wonderful sense of humour. And I'm afraid science fiction is sadder for the loss of him.
I really like the what's it all for speech when Tom confronts the captain. For me, that is a standout speech where they just stood there together.
Yeah.
And you could feel the Doctor's anger. What's it all for? That is just a brilliant piece of television to me.
I forgot I did like the scene with the part where the doctor was like when they got into this like kind of elevator whatever it is, like some kind of force field thing. Well, Tom Baker, the guards were about to come. Tom Baker switched the button, and the guards end up hitting through the wall. That part I just forgot to mention, but that was actually a funny one.
Yeah, Newton's Revenge.
In the first draft of the script, the villain was originally a Time Lord. Planet was going to swallow Gallifrey. But the Douglas Adams at that time was not familiar with writing for television. Like I said, he was working on the radio play, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. His scripts were so elaborate and so complicated and so expensive, they had to have him rewrite the script to fit in with their budget.
And that's your lot for today, folks. And I would like to thank everybody here for joining me. And I would like to thank you for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, share, comment, and you can even come and join us. Yes, you can be here yourself, sat here with us, remember. All you have to do is say that you want to be part of it in the comment box below, and we'll do the rest. So, until next time, keep on whoing.